Welcome everyone, Costin here on Serious Gaming with the discussion about the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt free DLCs plan. 16 free DLCs that they'll be releasing in packs of 2 every week after the game's launched, though the first pack will go out one day after the game's launched. And why is CDPR doing this? Well, a couple of reasons. One is marketing. They want to generate more hype for their game, and it's something that I imagine retailers, publishers, distributors push companies, developers to do in order to generate more hype for their game. You get these goodies when the game comes out and so on and so forth. Generally, such things have been pre-order items. In some cases, you can buy them after the game is launched for $1, $2, something along those lines. Lords of the Fallen had quite a few packs like this. So it is a marketing campaign, but at the same time, it's not just that. It's also a way for them to put in things inside the game that they couldn't until the game had to be shipped to retailers to put it on the disc, and also had to be shipped to Microsoft, to Sony, so that they can go through their approval process, get it gold and so on and so forth, which takes some time. Just the point, it takes some time. You're looking at about a month. That's what I know from Game Developer. That's also what I know from Total Biscuit. He talked about this quite a bit. It's about 1 month. Could be longer, I might add. Could be shorter. Depends on a case-by-case basis. Depends on the platform holder. They have to work with Microsoft and Sony. So just something to keep in mind there. And during that time, that 1 month, they have people, obviously there's people already working on some patches, because you can't fix every problem that's in the game. So you've got people already working on some new content that they're going to release on DLC later. Just talking about gaming companies in general. And then you've got people that don't have anything to do. A lot of people are actually laid off once the game finishes development because the company can't keep them because they don't need them. And in a company to not have to lay off as many people as it does, gives these people something to work, like DLC. That's basically it, or patches or optimization or something along those lines, because they do have this period between when the game is given to Microsoft, Sony for the approval process, before it goes gold, before it's given to retailers, and until the game is launched. And during that time, 1 month of game development is actually quite significant. You can do quite a bit during 1 month with an entire development team at your hands. So they're working on these DLC packs. So I don't mind them doing this. I understand the reasons for it. It's something actually to be expected. Now, sure, when we're thinking on day 1 DLC, and this is pretty much day 1 DLC, we think that developers just nickel and dime people, which they do in some cases. Capcom did it, Bioware did it to a certain degree with the From Ashes DLC. Although in that case, they didn't have the mission where you recruited him, they didn't have a lot of dialogue for the character and a lot of scenes with the character where you talked with him inside the game. That was as part of the DLC files, so that wasn't in the game. You could get him as a squad mate, he could give his input on certain situations in the game, but there was a lot of content that was not on the disc. And with these cases, this is not something that they're putting on the disc and then using it just as marketing tactic. This is stuff that they're making after the game is given for approval and shipped to retailers and so on. And I don't mind it. And at the same time, just want something to point out, the fact that they're making it free. So you're going to have 2 DLCs per pack over a period of 2 weeks. Obviously it's marketing, it's overhyping the game, it's generating generating more interest in the game. That's the ultimate tactic here. But at the same time, the fact that it's free, it's basically a huge bitch slap for so many publishers, for so many distributors. CDPR doesn't work with publishers in a traditional sense. They're working with them as distributors. They deal with contracts with the retailers, make the discs and so on and so forth, all that stuff. That's how CDPR works with Warner Brothers, with Namco Bandai. Not in a traditional publisher sense, but as a distributor to get the physical copies of the game out there to people. That's what they use the publishers for. Also they use the publishers to market the game. There's I think it's about 15 million that they've, or perhaps no, it's 25 million that the distributors will put forward for marketing the game. The game probably costs around $15 million or $13 million, something along those lines. I've forgotten about the exact figures. So that's what CDPR is doing with the distributors. They do have a bit of influence with regards to things like this, but they don't influence the real development of the game, like what's going to be in the game and so on and so forth. And publishers, in a traditional sense, do have quite a bit of influence, although it's not as far-reaching as some people would like it to believe. Like, for instance, EA didn't put a Godchild in Mass Effect 3. That was all on Bioware. Yes, that was all decided by fucking Bioware. And yes, it is a good thing that CDPR is doing this. Believe it or not, what CDPR has been doing has had an impact on the industry to a certain degree. Specifically, I would like to point out to Total War 2, where the developer, seeing a massive outcry from a lot of people, released a lot of free content. Even before the game was launched and there was a massive amount of outcry against them, they were still planning on doing free content for the game, which they would never have done before. So CDPR has already had the influence there, and if The Witcher 3 is going to be a successful game, if it's going to sell a lot of copies, then that's going to shake up the industry quite a bit. Publishers, companies, CEOs and all that will start realizing that offering free DLC is not a bad idea from a sales standpoint, that they can sell a game very well because they can generate good publicity. If they offer free content, which is what something Sega realized to a certain extent with Rome 2, that they can generate quite a bit of good publicity if they offer content free. Now, obviously, we're not going to change the DLC model anytime soon, but there is going to be an impact. It's going to take a while. It's going to take many years, in fact, for things to change, but things are hopefully going to change if The Witcher 3 is going to be successful and CDPR games continue to be successful. Hopefully that applies also to DRM spectrum of things, where we're seeing companies use more and more shitty DRM, like Lords of the Fallen used the DRM that supposedly impacts, actually no, not supposedly, does impact performance. Even if it's a minor way, it does impact performance. And some people believe it's also the cause of the instability that's plaguing the game, so it's something to keep in mind. Although it has made the game harder to crack, it's a frustration to deal with. So, the game being DRM free, probably going to have an impact as well. Just a note here, for people that might not know this, you can actually put games on Steam that don't require you to use Steam. It's like you just use Steam to download it, right? And then you can run the game without having Steam active, without even having the program on your computer. You can move the files wherever you want and so on and so forth. You can do that on Steam. You can put the DRM-free game on Steam. The option is there. Steam in itself is not DRM. Steamworks is DRM. It's a different thing. Steamworks is DRM. So just something to keep in mind here when it comes to Steam. And, obviously GOG is DRM-free as well. So. And I would actually like to see more games on GOG, though that's unlikely because developers, publishers are very comfortable with dealing with Steam. They already have contracts with Steam, and it's very easy for them to put a game on Steam. Being able to put a game on GOG would require them making a deal with GOG, and it's not as simple as people would like to believe. And I think that's the main reason why we're not seeing so many games on GOG, even ones from developers that don't care that much about DRM at all. Or even developers who put DRM-free games on Steam, so go figure.